to me to be able to be in these leadership positions that didn't even exist.
Yo, what's going on, people?
Hey.
Hey,
Good morning, everybody.
welcome everybody to Four Corners Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Valley Uno.
And I am Miss My My.
And this is Tusa.
All right, so we still waiting on one of our co-hosts to join, but in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get it rocking. So as you know, Sav, because you out here, it's been kind of crazy with this Sacramento weather. You know, had a couple of areas actually get flooded out yesterday. You know, people was putting up videos on Facebook and whole streets flooded all the way up to people's doorway and whatnot. So yeah, it's been some crazy weather out here. We've been in a drought for mad years, and now all of a sudden the rain don't want to stop. So
yeah, I got one of those trees in the backyard that's suspect.
Oh, it's leaning.
It's leaning.
Oh man,
but it's not leaning in my house. On my house, it's leaning on the neighbor's house. Thank God.
Yeah, I can dig.
Well, that's definitely good. Well, not for them at least, but it's still good.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to escape any of the craziness. I mean, we ain't had no trees down over here. Ain't been no flooding over here. So yeah, knock on wood. You know?
It made the potholes in the street bigger though.
Absolutely. Yeah, I ran over one yesterday and I thought for sure my tire was fit to be flat, you know.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, I need to get on the phone with 211 in a minute.
So me and nephew went to go to the bottle signing to meet 50 Cent yesterday, which was crazy. You know, it wasn't a whole lot of people out there, but the line was moving slow. And we got like 20 feet from the door. And they was like, nope, 50 Cent had left the building. You know, we appreciate you waiting, but y'all got to go home. And almost immediately it started raining buckets. So it was like, man, now we got to try to get to the car without getting soaked. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's crazy.
We didn't get to meet 50 Cent.
I'm sorry that you guys didn't get to meet 50 Cent. I was really hoping for you. I was pulling for you guys.
Yeah,
I forgot all about it because I was going to go out there because I know he would have been like, that's that girl I've met before.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. I need to look into a little bit what he's doing with the Kings, because I know y'all done seen it. He been lightweight active with the Sacramento Kings, so he got something going on out in this region to be present so often, you know, at the court side of the games and all that. So I want to do some digging out what he's got going.
Shout out to Sacramento in the building.
No doubt.
They're trying to have a little bit of a team too this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, just to speak on what the topics are going to be, we're going to be talking about social skills today and family structure and how the two kind of bleed into one another. You know, I think having good social skills is a positive quality attribute that anybody would want to try to develop, seeing as we can't maneuver through this world without being somewhat social. So I think it was a good topic for that reason. And we're going to see how it all plays out together once we get started in this conversation. Yeah. So how y'all doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. As you know, I'm the only one out of the bunch who is not in the area, you know. So out here, the weather is good. It's a nice day today. We've been having some rain out this way, too. So it's good to have a nice regular day today. No rain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Social skills is very important. I can't wait to jump into the topic because I think that it's everything. That if you cannot blend with a crowd of people, no matter who that crowd is, and just be able to interact and find your way, and it makes you feel awkward. I think it jumps back to some of the mental health issues that we were talking about, and it bleeds, like you said, into the family structure. So I'm eager to get into that topic and the importance of it, not just statistically, but just on individual levels. We can base our opinion on what we have witnessed when people are socially awkward.
But your social skills aren't always your talking. It's also your the way you sit, if your arms are folded, the way you make eye contact, if you are, the way your mouth looks. That's part of social skills also.
Yeah, so body language plays into it, definitely.
Facial expressions, gestures, yes.
I think it's crazy how even on the smallest scale, you can recognize somebody's their social skill set or the lack thereof. You might go to the grocery store, the corner store or something, and the person at the register, they don't say hello to you. They don't make eye contact with you. It's real transactional, and they're not even really taking advantage of the opportunity to interact with a person that's standing right in front of them. Small stuff like that, we see how social skills might be lacking with different people, even if they're in a job position that half-ass requires them to have some social skills. They're still lacking in it,
Yes. I had to tell the boy at the corner market, why are you in such a bad mood? You can't say hello to somebody when they come. Just stick your hand out. That's not how you're supposed to do it.
So now they can do it consistently.
So every time I go in there, he's like cheesing and grinning. That's good. Should do that with everybody.
Yeah, and see, that's you and your social skills impacting somebody else. And I think that's why it's so important to have them, because we teach and train each other how to interact in a way that's gonna add to the comfortability, the pleasantness of everyday human interactions. Like I said, even if it is something as simple as going to the store, it should still be a pleasant interchange between you and whoever you're talking to or dealing with.
So would it be safe to say if someone is socially awkward, they're a little bit reclusive because they avoid conversation with people, which then could lead to other different things as well? But if you're not comfortable in your own skin, then you have a problem being around a group of people, or just something as simple as a hello. For someone who has that social awkwardness, they can't say it. They can't force themselves to come out of that shell. But when I was reading, the research says that you have to push yourself out of that shell. You have to keep trying to talk. And that's why there are certain subjects that they say you should talk about and you shouldn't talk about when it comes to social skills.
Yeah, it's baby steps. That hello might seem super hard at first.
Right.
But once you've done that 150 times, it's normal to you now. That awkwardness has fallen away from a simple hello, how you doing? And you can kind of build on that, you know what I mean?
Right.
In different situations, what you want to say, how you would say it, your posture, all that stuff, you know what I mean? But you got to take baby steps. So I would say, like, when I used to play football, we couldn't say I can't.
Right.
On the football field, coach wasn't trying to hear none of that. I can't is a word that you don't get to say that over here. So even for somebody that's socially awkward, they shouldn't be telling themselves, I can't do this, can't do that. It's either you making a choice to do it or a choice to not do it.
I made a homemade sangria today, you guys.
I'm jealous.
And it is delish, okay?
I'm jealous.
So I just want to add that the drink for this week is sangria, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make some crab cakes in a minute when we get off this podcast.
I might have to pull up.
Some crab cakes. I can't wait to make them.
Mm-hmm.
Found me a nice little recipe.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of my hair color?
It looks good.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, if somebody is socially awkward, what do you think? What do you think causes somebody to have that sort of awkwardness? You know, is it something that comes natural to them? Is it a part of their upbringing and things they experienced or been exposed to? What do you think causes that? Because I
I
never was really socially awkward, you know.
Some
Uh,
people aren't confident within themselves. That's why they say
That's the number one thing.
to practice. Um, if you feel like you're not confident enough to practice your skills, whatever you feel that you're lacking in, and look in the mirror and practice.
mhm.
I had to tell this to this young gentleman who was kind of shy about talking to girls, and I said, "You got it, boy. All you gotta do is just practice in the mirror and say, get your spiel down, and you got it."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he's still a little shy, but I guess he put his spiel down because he got a nice little girlfriend now.
I heard that.
Well, yes. Well, they say conflict resolution is one of the best social skills to have, though, is to be able to resolve a conflict without it getting confrontational, or still end up being friends afterwards.
I think conflict resolution is great. It's a skill that I use in the workforce a lot when we have upset guests. So I think that is very much true. In that way, you have to be able to de-escalate a situation. But again, somebody who has who's socially awkward, may not know the right words to say to de-escalate the situation if they're embarrassed. I always tell people at work, I can train you on the PMS system, but I can't train customer service. You either got it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think customer service blends into having social skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it blends into like having a concern for people. Like I was saying, I never been somebody that was socially awkward, but I did struggle with like having a concern for people.
Having empathy.
You know, not even necessarily empathy. I'm talking about like just not really caring whatever is going on outside of me, you know, and certain jobs that I have had required me to deal with people to the point where I had to develop people skills, you know, to become a people person to some degree or another, just to be able to interact with folks throughout my day. And I think it made me somewhat of an actor because I had to learn how to act like, you know,
That's
concerned
definitely
with
what it is.
they had going on in relation to what I'm offering as a sales rep or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because sometimes that's all it is. It's you putting on a performance.
Definitely.
But that's where them social skills come into play. You know?
They say social skills is listening, being responsible, having responsibility, compassion, dependability, leadership, patience, and confidence.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
What were you gonna say, Mai?
What I was hold on. I'm trying not to choke on a fresh strawberry. Hold on, I'm sorry. What are social skills? Social skills are used to communicate with others daily in a variety of ways, including verbal, nonverbal, written, and visual. Social skills are also referred to as interpersonal skills, soft skills. Verbal skills involve a spoken language, while nonverbal, of course, does not. It includes body language, like you were speaking of, Tusab, facial expressions, and eye contact. Anytime you interact with another person, you're using social skills. Strong social skills can help you build and maintain successful relationships professionally and personally. Would you agree?
Yes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. For, you know, some of the reasons that were mentioned, you have to be able to interact with people in order to forge a relationship. So if you have better social skills, it's obviously going to have a positive or favorable impact on whatever relationship setting you might be in.
Yeah. Do you think they should teach that in schools?
Remember, social skills can't be taught. I don't.
But now they should address it in schools.
Well, they should do team building things to get people involved. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, social skills can't be taught.
But they can.
Expound on that.
Because you can't force someone to want to communicate. That's something they have to want to do.
But you can still show them or teach them a method on how to reach that goal, though. So I mean, I don't know. To me, I just think it could be taught. So someone who feels to be there, though.
I guess I see what angle you're coming from, because I'm just thinking like someone who doesn't like to speak in front of large crowds or something like that, and they get some form of anxiety, or they're worried about how they look or how their breath smells, or just different things can stop you from being able to communicate with people. So, but you can give someone the skill and say, hey, these are some tips to help you because some of the tips that I seen were like things that were conversation starters, things that are something that you should avoid, and conversations that you shouldn't talk about if someone has anxieties around people.
Right.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you tell someone that their breath stinks?
No.
You should.
No, you shouldn't. You should offer them a piece of gum or a breath mint.
I mean, you could do that, but then they're still going to go around with bad breath.
No. I mean, because, okay, who's someone? Who are we talking about?
Anyone.
Okay, so if it's your mate, if it's your child, your sibling.
Oh, that's automatic.
Hey, man, here, get this, because, your breath kind of rocking. But just a
Right.
regular Joe, you finna be
Absolutely.
like, hey, because we're talking and I'm at this job and I'm selling you something and your breath got my eyes watering, I'm just going to tell you your breath stinks. Yeah. No, what you do is you pull out your gum and you get a piece. Would you like some?
And that's perfect for in that scenario. If it was, and see, that's what I'm glad you brought that up, because if it is a sibling, if it is a family member, if it is someone who you love, you should tell them if you really care about them. You know what I mean? Because you wouldn't want them going out like that. You know, that's just my thought process.
Yeah, but
you wouldn't want your family member to just be getting laughed at by the next person. That's stupid. Like, you should have took advantage of an opportunity to tell them instead of laughing at it.
Instead of letting them walk around with.
Hey, you got a booger. Here goes a tissue.
Right.
Or you can get some tissue.
Right.
Tell them where they can get some tissue.
Right.
But I think that's like you said, that's a form of consideration. Like, hey,
absolutely.
Man, you might have missed something. You might have missed that back corner when you was brushing your teeth this morning.
Right. No, for real. that is real. Yeah. And I'm just saying that I just feel like that's another thing about social skills. If you really communicating is a need, it's an important part of having social skills. Would you agree? Like, how else can you show social skills if you don't know how to communicate?
Well, because welcome, Deez. What's going on with you?
Hey.
Well, yeah, because it's a skill, meaning that it requires some sort of activity. So if you're not communicating, you're not putting the skill to use. How can you really say you have the skill? You don't know unless you put it to use. Are you skilled or are you not skilled? So yeah, you got to communicate. It's all connected.
You have to be able to verbalize it. Just like I feel like you guys should have verbalized these backgrounds, but it's good. I'm so happy about it.
I've been using backgrounds since week 1.
I know you have. And I asked personally for someone to say how to do it, but I guess I should have found time to read it up on myself. It's all good. Got y'all.
Yeah,
got
I
y'all.
mean, it comes down to the communication you was talking about.
I communicated to you all. I communicated to you all how to do that. So
I
miss me
just
with that
told you
bullshit.
right now that you could do it while we're on the podcast.
I can't because I'm on my phone, but it's okay. I'm not tripping.
Listen,
When you look this good, you really don't have to worry about
all
what
you
your
have
background
to have
is.
is a picture saved in your background. If you go down to the bottom and click settings,
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not tripping.
she doesn't want to communicate.
Now I don't now, but I said what I said. I missed one call. I didn't get on the pregame today, so I deserve that.
Oh no, I did this background after last week's show. That's what I mean. Like when we talked about it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to social skills, I could utilize that as being a chance to be social.
Oh man.
I'm glad everybody's in their corners right now. It's so
yeah,
good.
no doubt.
You know,
Yeah. So
I'm not a hater.
we think about community interaction. So social skills on a community level. When we think about the conflict that takes place on a community level, do you think that social skills could prevent some of the acts of violence that take place over seemingly meaningless things?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because that's part of the problem is people think that there's only one way to solve an issue. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this motherfucker bumped into me at the store. If he don't say excuse me, I'm gonna say fuck his mama, and then he gonna say, you know, and then next thing you know, we reaching for pistols in our trunk, handling it like that, and it's all over some simple situation, and that shit is bullshit to me. I hate seeing shit like that.
I do too. And so yeah, it is, to answer your question, it is avoidable if a person has social skills. If you understand that being in a crowd of people, someone may accidentally step on your shoe. That may happen. Okay, they're new.
Somebody might not see you on the road and accidentally hit your car or cut you off, or things like that happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the road rage, that's a big one. People don't have they it's like they're caught in their own little bubble. They think, oh man, this person's targeting me personally, and this person could be late for work. This person could be rushing to the hospital to go say goodbye to a loved one, or to watch his child be born, or
that is true.
Something like that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have anything to do with none of that extra shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lack of conflict resolution is really what that boils down to. But I think that's still related to having social skills, because socially conflicts are going to arise. So if we don't have the mindset to resolve those conflicts, or we don't have conflict resolution skills, then these type of things are just going to continue to happen. You know what I mean? And like I said, over seemingly small, minuscule type things. Like, really, that's why people lost their life over something that damn little. Yeah. Like we couldn't have talked about that.
We could have. That's why I was reading. It said benefits of social skills. There are several advantages to having well-developed social skills for both your personal and professional relationships. With solid social skills, you increase your opportunity to communicate your needs and wants effectively and clearly, have better and potentially more relationships, navigate tricky social situations like you were talking about, like a car accident or somebody stepping on your toe, be considered for career opportunities, feel happier. Those are benefits of social skills.
Superpowers, you gotta remember what type of world we live in. If the superpowers can talk out the things they got going on, if the superpowers could talk out, quit touching stuff. If the superpowers could work out, because if they were thinking like how regular people on the street are thinking, the nukes would have been flying. You know what I'm saying? The nukes would have been flew.
Right, no, for real. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then we agree that there are benefits to having social skills.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because we know it's a benefit to it, I think for people that struggle with it, when you get that lump in your throat, your heart starts beating because you're scared or you're afraid of how the person is going to respond. You got to get over that if you understand that there's a benefit to getting over that hump.
That is true.
It's almost cowardly to just say, "Oh, I'm gonna let my emotions win," as if your mind is not more powerful than your emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's give. Go ahead, Dees. Go.
That's extremely hard in today's society because everything is so emotionally driven, and people are being taught that you lead with your emotions, and emotions trump logic and reason.
That's why it's so important to not fall into that, because it's already more than enough people taking that stance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 examples of important social skills. Number 1 on that, as we discussed, was the effective communication. Conflict resolution, we discussed that. Active listening. Let's actually talk about that one as well. Active listening. The ability to pay close attention to a person who is communicating with you. Active listeners are typically well regarded by their coworkers due to the attention and respect they have for others. You can increase your listening skills by focusing on the speaker, avoiding distractions, and waiting to prepare your response only after the person is finished.
That's the key right there to active listening.
Right.
If you're trying to formulate your response before you've heard all the information, then it's just going to make for a bumpy conversation. In order for the conversation to go smoothly, you have to be responding to the entirety of the other person's statement. So if you start already thinking when they 3 words in, I'm going to say this, you miss the rest of it. And so you can't give a meaningful response because you're only responding to the first half of the statement that was made to you.
Right.
I think that's something that happens a lot in on a relationship level. When you hear people talk about the rifts they have with their mate, their spouse, it usually be because neither one of them are practicing active listening. They doing this at each other, trying to see who can get off faster. And it's never going to go nowhere. That's how important or how base level active listening is in communication.
It's very big part of relationship, especially the part where it says you're actually waiting till they're finished. You're listening to what they're saying. You're not already preparing your rebuttal. Mm-hmm. That's key. Stop preparing your rebuttal and absorb what the person is actually trying to say. So active listening is good. Empathy. What about empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and identify with feelings of another person. If you have empathy, others will often be more likely to confide in you. Being more empathetic, take a conscious effort to continue and carefully consider how others feel. If you strengthen your empathy and rapport with others, you can build stronger, more respectful and open relationships.
I think I really think that ties into the active listening piece, because when you take time to hear somebody out, that means you have put yourself in their shoes. If it was me speaking, would I want somebody to interrupt me or to listen? If it was me speaking, would that person listening to me entirely show me that they respect me as an individual, they respect my expressions? So the empathy piece, it ties right in with the active listening. You know what I mean? Like, I almost think you have to have that before you can practice active listening. Yeah.
Yeah,
You do.
because you have to have respect for the other person. That's a part of social skills too, is respecting other people. Also.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
That's
It's,
part of
it's easier said than done to be empathetic, though,
It is.
because you have to, in order to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you have to understand first that your shoes ain't the only ones that matter, you know. And as people, like I said, that's easier said than done. Self-preservation, having importance of self, is hardwired into all of us. So you have to temporarily turn off that switch in order to engage somebody else and try to understand their position in life before you can put the switch back on and then respond. You know, it takes work to be empathetic. It's not easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Relationship management. Relationship management is the ability to maintain a healthy relationship and build key connections. For example, if your job is in customer service, you might be responsible for nurturing relationships between organizations, managing partnerships and stakeholders and investments. This social skill allows professional relationships to flourish and all parties involved can benefit. So
Mhm.
again, relationship management, I thought that was a good step to know how to do as well, because as we further our entrepreneurship, that is a key thing to think about. If you're rubbing paws and talking to other business people, you want to be able to nourish those relationships. You want to be able to hold a civil conversation. You want to know what you're talking about. You want your business to flourish. You have to be able to network.
That's a key part of having a business, is be able to network so you can broaden your business.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, and the awkwardness that one may or may not have will have a bearing on your ability to carry out that networking. You know what I mean? If you are socially awkward, maybe you need to work on that before you take the front position of the networking. You know, like for instance, in a group like us, we would have to really think about who's the most socially interactive person out of the four of us if it was a networking situation. Who you know, this is something we'd have to consider as a group, you know.
I think it depends who we're networking with, because certain we all have great attributes. So some of us may be better working with. It depends what kind of networking we're doing, you know.
Absolutely. And that's where I mean, where being able to get past that lump in your throat when your number is called, you got to step up and make that play for the team, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, that's why Mama always said to us, be able to be put in wherever you could fit in. So that's why she always wanted us to talk with correct English and have manners and be respectful, because that's a part of social skills. And she was a social lady. She was Miss Social Lady.
Mm-hmm.
That's Ingrid just kicked in.
I didn't.
Look, you're going to have to get yourself together.
I'm sorry.
What happened?
No, I'm not. That's what I'm not.
She had a drink. She's had a drink.
I made my own homemade sangria, and I was just looking, and for a second I couldn't do anything but laugh.
And then you still pouring it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
Anyways, so that was relationship management, and again, I think that was good. You pointed out, like, when we're doing our business, as we grow in our business, who we really have to think about, who knows how to talk, who's going to talk for us. There's going to be times where all four corners need to show up. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. when we're working a room, everybody has a part to play. Everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses. So we need to be able to work a whole room together. We gonna lock it in at that point, I feel like.
Right, right.
Well, somebody might, if somebody was going to invest in the group, obviously they would want to hear from everybody in the group and see, you know, everybody's standpoint or how everybody gets down or what everybody's take is and all that type of stuff. So everybody would have to know how to network at that point.
Yeah, no, I think we all already know how to network. I'm saying, like, if we were somewhere and we knew we had interest in doing business with a particular individual, based on that individual's social interactions that we know of, we'd have to figure out who was the best fit to start that conversation with him. That's what I'm getting at. You know, like,
Well,
somebody might fit better than the other. You know, of course, we all know how to network, but in particular situations, whose number's gonna get called in order to have a conversation with this dude or with this lady? You know what I mean?
yes. I think, I don't know who would.
No, I mean, just hypothetically. You know, we ain't trying to figure that out right now. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Well, I think it would be between the you or Maisha could start it off, but I'm definitely gonna be right there because I have a lot to say all the time. But I always gonna
I can't talk to if we was networking like with some street hood cats, then I couldn't do it because the talking be too fast. What happened? She cut out.
I could work the room though because I did it at my daughter's wedding. I said hello and greeted every person that was at the wedding and pulled them onto the dance floor and all that. I mean, that's no problem for me. I'm a people person.
Yes, indeed.
I hate people.
I can't stand them sometimes too, but now I will talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And I am nice to people, even when I don't want to be nice.
Mm-hmm. You all right, Mai?
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I can hear everything that you guys are saying. I'm just not in front of the camera right now.
Oh, okay. Well, because you just stepped
Taking
away
a drink.
unexpectedly. I'm just checking on you. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, there's plenty of apps that you can download on your phone also that will guide you into having better social skills also. Believe it or not, there's quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
For those who, you know, that don't have social skills.
I think everybody has them naturally, but what I think is that people don't apply them because of the feeling that happens when they get, you know, it's like a feeling of intimidation when they find themselves in a position where they have to apply their skills. So they get, I guess you could call it stage fright, so to speak. And so the skills never actually get put into place. But I think everybody possesses them naturally, but they what they don't possess is the courage to overcome the feelings associated with having to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one thing. My daughters are gonna hear a word from me when we get off this chat.
Oh yeah.
What am I? That doesn't have anything to do with it. I heard you guys when you guys were saying that we all do possess social skills. I think we do. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. In a room full of business people, we all would shine. I just know we would. That's why I say it's important. Think about what areas, who's the strong point with the person who's in IT, who's a strong person who in another department, say they were doing music, whatever the case may be. I just think all of us shine.
I agree. We all talk with.
I have a commanding presence, being an extremely large man. So that always makes it easier for me. 'Cause
Well,
I command attention when I enter a room. I didn't have to announce I came in that motherfucker.
usually,
They seen
usually they say, "Oh, your smile is so radiant." So that's what catches the room for me when I come in the room. It's my beautiful smile. But we all have good smiles. We all have beautiful smiles. Patricia had beautiful children.
Mhm. One of the things that you had mentioned before was respecting other people. A key aspect of respect is knowing when and how to initiate communication and how to respond. In a team or group setting, allowing others to speak without interruption is necessary in communication skill, and that shows respect. We have had those conversations multiple times throughout trying to get this podcast off the ground, so we can relate to that immediately. We've been all learning how to respectfully communicate amongst each other.
Absolutely.
Yes.
it's probably harder when you know somebody who grew up with them.
Well, it's not hard to make small talk with someone that you know. But it's hard to make small talk with someone that you don't know. Oh, well, how's the weather today? Or did you see the football game? Or, something like that.
Right.
I think what she was just talking about, communicating respectfully, and Dee said it's sometimes harder with somebody that you know or grew up with. I think I agree with that, but I don't think it's because it's harder. I think what happens is there's less of a concern with how somebody might be affected by what you're saying in your communication, or how they're going to respond to it. You know what I mean? Because you know them. Whereas if it's a perfect stranger, you're going to have more concern about how they might respond to you, even though as crazy as that sounds. But that's why people that know each other tend to speak more loosely to one another. We just say, well, we shoot from the hip in comfortable circles, where you wouldn't do that with people that you don't know as often. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Yeah, and plus you just when you know somebody, it could also be harder because you might know their tendencies in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So that might make it harder to conversate with them, because you're like, I know if I say this, they're gonna go this way. Or if I know, you know what I'm saying?
Well, certain things are going to make, like, they say at work, you should never discuss religion or politics, because those two topics can go off balance if you're at work. So don't, those are conversations to avoid in a workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And relationships.
I think people talk about their relationships to coworkers.
Yeah, that's not taboo.
Yeah.
That's not taboo. People, that's regular. That's regular job talk.
Yeah, that's
Sports are another one. A lot of people talk about sports or weather at work. Those are good conversation pieces.
Their children.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, current affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody say, "Hey, man, what you think about the president and this BS policy he got?"
I think it's great.
What you just say to me in front of everybody?
Because you got to remember, he is the president, so somebody gave a fuck. Somebody liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a regular, everyday part of human interaction. It just probably doesn't come up in conversation very often. We probably don't even realize how often or how regularly we utilize our social skills. Because unless you're sitting in a house and never talking to anybody, you live by yourself, you don't have a phone, nothing, you're utilizing social skills. You know, you'd have to be phoneless. Even if you're watching TV, you're interacting with what you're seeing on that television. So you'd have to be a straight hermit to never have put any social skills into play.
Right, but some people use watching TV or social media as a place to resolve to, so they don't have to talk to people.
Right.
And that's how they have social bullying that goes on. Like people can hide behind images or fake pages and things like that, and say whatever they want to say that they will be scared to say in a different setting.
Right.
But they're still putting their social skills into play.
It's always a motherfucker with a private account talking the most shit.
Right.
Hiding like a motherfucker. Duck your head in. Bring your bitch ass outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get to a point where you see certain comments, you'd be like, let me see who this is saying all that. And then when you open it up, it's a private account. It's like, oh, no wonder why they talking so greasy, because they know
right.
Because they not gonna throw in.
They know they ain't gonna have to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna bust a grape in a vineyard.
So personally speaking, what are some things that you guys would suggest for someone if they didn't have great social skills? How would you bring them out of their shell? Because Valley, you said that you think it can be taught. So if we were trying to teach someone right now how to better their social skills, how would we go about that?
I think we covered that. It starts with active listening, or actually having a sense of empathy for other people, recognizing that their experience is equally important as yours. That's going to help you to listen to somebody actively. And sometimes just by listening to a person, you can observe the way they put their social skills into play. So understand empathy, understand that other people's experience is equally important to yours, and that will help you to do better at paying full attention to the expressions of other people. I would say that's a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sav?
I agree. It's a great starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me nothing.
well, now we have to. What up, Self-Made? Yeah. Shout out to the chat. The homie tapped in with us. What's going on with you?
Hello. Thanks for tapping in.
Yeah. So yeah, with that being said, I think when we think about all the different aspects of social skills, and we talked about this behind the scenes, but we could see how it bleeds right into family structure or the family setting, family arrangement. Social skills have to be regularly practiced or put into play in order to have a successful family arrangement. So what are some ways that we could put that into place in the family? For me, I think one of the places that I learned the importance of the social skills in a family setting was dealing with my children. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have a different approach for each and every one of them. And so, but the goal is still to make each and every one of them see themselves as an integral part of the family arrangement. So you got to really figure out socially, as far as the skill goes, how do I put this into play with this particular child? And even though we talk about the same subject, it's a different approach with this child. Yeah. Oh, self-made. Yeah. Social skills is the topic at hand right now, but we just merged into the family structure, family arrangement piece, and how the social skills kind of bleed right into that, just to bring you up to speed where we at.
I think it's super important what you were saying. All children are different. All family members are different. You can't not always use the same approach. Just like even in learning in a school, you can't use the same format because everybody doesn't learn the same. So you can't go about it in that same way. I think that same applies with the family structure and how important your social skills are, because if we are using empathy, if we're using respect as key tools in the family structure and are communicating with each other, I think that that is helpful. You gotta have that. You gotta recognize who you're talking to and how they're going to respond. You need to have respect for their feelings about certain topics, because something might cut a nerve to somebody. So social skills in the family structure are very important. There's several, the quote unquote family structure is a mom, a dad, and children. That's the
nuclear.
It's the what?
It's a nuclear family
structure.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying like the nucleus is what you're saying?
Right.
A nuclear.
Okay. So
right,
we talked about some social skills about about active listening. He's not talking to you, puppet. Okay, so she said it was nuclear, whatever. Okay.
Nuclear.
Is that what you were saying?
Well, yeah, that's because there's different forms of a family structure. And we're saying that we're bleeding the social skills into a family structure. A nuclear family structure consists of a mom, a dad, and the children.
Right. Okay. I'm with you.
Can I speak now?
We ain't got time. Come on.
Because there's 4 different types of a family structure. There's the nuclear family, the single parent, the extended, and the childless family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I was saying the nuclear. She was saying that a mother and father and children is the nuclear.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's probably the first thing that comes to mind when I hear the word family. But as we have gotten older and we've seen some, if not all of our children become adults, and even some of them having children, we can't help but morph into the more extended family viewpoint, because now we got kids inside of the house, got kids of their own, starting families of their own, you know what I mean? It merges us into that extended family format. But even then, the social skills are still important. Like for instance, if one of our children has a mate or they get married or whatever, is it just, oh, well, I love my kid, and I'll see partner when I see him? Or do we activate our social skills with that individual in order to now make him or her feel like they are also a part of the extended family? You see what I mean?
Right. I think it's important to definitely activate that social skill to and implement it in that structure, because we want the partner to feel like, yes, they are welcome and received in the unit. I think that it's also important in that way because you don't want to push your child out of your family. So if you didn't like their partner, it could cause a wedge between you and the child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let's be clear, sometimes you're not going to like the partner in relationships that your kids have. But again, the social skill on how and when to say things, there's a right and a wrong way to address things. Back in the day, they always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I think that's key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And depend, like for instance, for like not liking somebody that, your daughter or your son is dating, once you express that, you got to kill that noise. because the continual, pounding of it is almost like a disrespect to your family member now. Like, I don't respect your individualism and your ability to make choices as an individual for your own life. So I'm gonna browbeat you with my viewpoint,
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not good. Because what I like, I might, if we talking peanut butter and jelly, we make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There's 4 of us on here. One of us might like a little bit more peanut butter. The other one might like a little bit amount of jelly. You know what I mean? But it's still a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So what I like, you don't have to like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If it's not bad for you, then me liking it is really of no consequence.
Absolutely.
It comes down to personal.
But what if it is bad for you?
Then that's a whole nother conversation then. Because now we're getting down to something that somebody's dealing with on a personal level that has caused them to lack the ability to see their worth as an individual. And that's why they would even accept something or someone that's bad for them. So that's a whole nother conversation, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if that is the case, you still got to figure out a way to approach that.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've approached it, if we're dealing with an adult child, you have to respect their individualism to make their own choices and take their own path in life. And that's way, 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 way easier said than done.
Very much so. Very much so. Self-Made has a point down here. He said, I think social skills are forever evolving thing. I agree. Absolutely. Because your social skills, you might not have it all together before where you just pop off and you say anything, and then after that, not having a good result, you might get better social skills along the way and realize, hey, that's not how I want to approach something. So yeah, it does evolve over years. It does age always bring wisdom?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Because wisdom is the practical application of knowledge. And so age and knowledge don't go hand in hand always. But even if somebody has the knowledge, if they fail to put it in place in a practical manner, then they haven't arrived to a position of wisdom, even if they have the knowledge. So absolutely not. Age and wisdom do not go hand in hand.
Right.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you're not putting it in play, you could be getting dumber with age.
Yeah, that was side note, that was kind of dope. I don't know what that can was, but it kind of took you in the background when you sit on it.
I didn't have time to set it up right. It probably looks kind of weird anyway.
Oh no, it looks good. I'm just saying when you
put
the can up, it must have been green or something because it picked up. It was like the background was in the can. Yeah. So anyway,
so families, okay. When we think about family, and we talked about the nuclear structure, say the structure of siblings. Okay, so everybody grows up in one household, but you grow up and then you all have households of your own. How do we keep those social skills together? Is it important to still spend time with family members, even though you have your own personal family? At that time, I think you should. I think you have to find a way to blend them all together because family is important.
Absolutely, it is. And I think the understanding of that importance would stem back to the original nuclear family setting. You know what I mean? Is family interaction something that's being taught by the parents in that mother, father, children setting? Because that's where those siblings, when they grow old, that's where they're going to learn the importance of that. Does the mother and father spend time with one another as spouses? And do the mother and father spend time together with the children? Does the father buy out time individually with each child and collectively with the children, and the mother doing the same? Or is it always everybody does everything the same time? So that's where the challenge of that nuclear family setting comes in, is you have to approach it from a group, and you also have to forge individual relationships and communication with everybody in the family.
Because everybody's going to be different in their own
Mhm.
way. But it's definitely, I would say, the most important is establishing a group normalcy, I guess would be the word or something. You know, establishing a group where everybody has a safe operating space in the family.
Mhm. I think this is important too, because he mentioned it being a traditional family versus a modern family structure, and
Modern families don't have no fathers.
that's what I was about to say. I think really the modern family, just by jumping into that structure, it takes a lot of different pieces out of the conversation. Fatherhood is a big part of the family. That's going to be someone that's being leaned on in various aspects in the family structure, and his presence or lack thereof is going to play a big part in the mental well-being of the children, most importantly, but his spouse as well.
Well, single mothers also, children who have been lived in single families with just a mother or just a father still can come out with social skills also, because
Always anomalies.
it's a lot of the percentages have increased in the last 10 years of more families that don't have both parents in the house. 17% of Americans live with their mother, or live with the mother, or 10% live with the father. So, and then
Okay, so I want to piggyback a little bit on to the traditional and the modern family structure. Can someone explain to me what the difference is? Is it just having a dad in the home? Is that the tradition? Because it says traditional family was regarded as a social unit, whereas the modern families have become individualistic in outlook. So
I think that hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. If when you see traditional, what is a traditional family?
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Traditional is obviously mother and father, maybe children, maybe not children. That is a traditional family.
right. So when you say become individualistic in outlook, is it just one person? So it's just one leader of the family?
No. You could still have, well, in some cases, yes, but I think when I hear individualistic in viewpoint, you could have two parents, you could have a mother and father in the home, but the two of them are not even united in their minds. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I do what I do, and you do what you do. We're gonna get these bills paid, keep this roof over the kids' head, and make sure there's food in the refrigerator, get them to practices, but we kind of not really aligned in any other thing. We're not looking at this as a family structure. Flip side of that is it could be, okay, the mother and the father don't even live in the same home, but they have the same children. So like it or not, they're still family. You see what I mean? But they have their own individual paths in life from an adult perspective. So it could be that also.
Right. So the modern family structure is replacing traditional family structure.
I wouldn't say it's
Depends
replacing.
on who you ask.
Well, I'm looking online, and that's what it is saying. It was a posed question, really. It said it's not, but it said it's not surprising that modern family structure has replaced traditional family structure. In past times, it was common to see traditional families composed by a father, mother, and children, a large number of children, where the man had all the power, action, and decisions. Women were in charge of the housework, childcare, and the man had to work hard. That is, I guess, back a traditional way. Whereas now in modern families, the mom and the dad can work, and everybody, like you said, we're working towards one goal. Or the mom and the dad may be in two separate households, still working for the same goal, which is the betterment of
a mom or a dad and a dad as well. It might not be, you know.
That's true.
Modern family structure is all the way different now. I mean, traditional family.
I still wouldn't say that it's been replaced, because if something has been replaced, that means the previous version of it no longer exists. So I still wouldn't say it's being replaced. It might be more prevalent, but traditional families do still exist.
Yeah, they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because as long as TV is still and the things that we watch, the movies we go see in the movies, as long as they have those structures set in place on TV, somebody's gonna want to emulate that, or somebody's gonna see that as the norm. You know what I'm saying?
Like the information you spoke on, where it described the traditional family.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I seen in that description that's different now from back then is that the man's making all the money. The way society is structured today, more times than not, an individual male is not going to make enough money to care for the entire household by himself. The woman's going to obviously be have some sort of secular job also. Outside of that, I really don't see no difference in the traditional family structure from then and now, you know. And I would also question who wrote that piece, because it said that the man had the power and makes all the decisions.
Yeah, it sounded very feminist.
It had kind of feministic overtones to it. So I don't know if he had the power and made all the decisions. I would look at it as he bore the responsibility for the success of the family, you know.
And besides, what difference does it make who has the power if it takes the family to its best place?
Exactly.
It shouldn't matter who has the power, or it should know. You know, it's not raising kids and having a family and being successful, having a family or being a successful husband, father, and mother, and all that stuff. It shouldn't be some competition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's where social skills come into play, though. You gotta, you know, if everybody knows their part and plays their part, they're not caught up in what it looks like. You know, they're caught up in the ultimate goal. It doesn't matter who brought what, as long as we got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, kind of the way I took Self-Made's comment here, where he said, just like social skills, I think the family structure is also forever evolving. And I agree with that, because I don't think that there's any formulaic setup that's supposed to be in place. You know, it's if you got a man and a woman that choose to start a family, then it's up to those two individuals to decide what foundational basis is going to be best for their family structure to be successful. But to have an arbitrary setup in place that everybody has to follow, I think that's the thing that has probably disappeared over time. You know, if it's my family, then me and my woman is going to decide what's best for us, and everybody else can, you know, go do what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the ever evolving aspect of it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What y'all think about it was talked about a little bit in my group chat that I'm in, and it was relative to a friend of mine had made a post, and I ain't gonna say his name, but nonetheless, a friend of mine had made a post in relation to his father passing away, and apparently his father was never a part of his life, like when he really needed and wanted him to, and he went deep in and expressing everything, all the emotions that he felt during that time frame, and that now in his father's death, he was able to release all of that and love him. And now that he's reached his transition, it's like, okay, I got it off my chest, I'll let it go. But it brought up the topic of fatherhood and how important that is in a child's life,
Yeah.
And it seems like that's something that is, when we talk about the individualistic viewpoint of a family, it seems like that's something that's decided upon on an individual basis. There's countless people that say, you know what, my child don't really need a father. I can go do, get artificial inseminated, or I can have a baby with this dude and never let him see the kid, whatever. Or there's even fathers that's like, yeah, I got her pregnant, but that's on her. Holla, how do we view fatherhood, and how important is it really in the family structure?
Well, first of all, you can't say if it's gonna hurt the kid, the child, because the child has to express if they're bothered by it, or if they can go on without the father, or because a lot of kids that don't have their fathers are like, man, I wish I knew what it was like to have a dad, or vice versa. You have to know, you have to talk to your kids. You have to find out how they're feeling.
At some point in every child's life, if they're playing football, going to karate, doing a recital play on stage, at some point they're going to see that the other kids that have parents have something that they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way that's not going to affect the child, in my opinion. But I could be, that's just my opinion.
In my opinion, I think that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
In my opinion, I think there's an importance of a mother and a father to a child. Period. The people who birthed you are going to play a role in who you are. Their lack of their presence going to play a role in who you are too. So it's equally important. A child should know their mom, or should have a father in their life, and should have a mother. And if a mother and father can't live together to raise the child, they still should find a way to both play a role in the child's life. I think it's both important.
Statistically speaking, there are tremendously more fatherless homes than there are motherless homes. So on a societal standpoint, I think it's safe to say that more people have an understanding of the importance of a mother in the home. It seems to be that the lack of importance on the father is the bigger piece. And like Dees was mentioning, the conversation that took place after seeing the post, the individuals that could relate, that didn't have a father, they were saying that there was times in their childhood where they literally were mad at other kids that did have a dad. So when he talk about the karate, the recitals, the football, the whatever you're into, and everybody's family is showing up, and this kid taking pictures with their dad and this, that, and the other, and you wouldn't even be able to recognize your daddy if he was standing right there on the sideline. These are the effects that are being made on that child.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, you as an individual, you take traits from both parents.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a way about you that if your dad was around, you'd be able to understand that part of you, or the reason why you're this way, and being able to see how they cope with it, or how they act. Okay, this is my dad was OCD too, or blah, 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 or whatever it is that you took from that parent. Seeing them in live action helps you relate to who you are close to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know. I just felt like that was a interesting piece when we think about. I think we even talked about this on a previous show, though, that when we look at the amount of people that are in prison, or the amount of people that commit rapes, murder, all this type of stuff, that the numbers are people that come from fatherless homes are more likely to find themselves being lumped in that category of people.
They headline those numbers.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think when we talk about the family structure, that's why I asked the question: is it important to have a father around? Personally speaking, and statistically speaking, how do we approach that?
Is it important to have a father around or a male around? Is that the
Well, I mean, I think we're talking about a father. Yeah, is it
okay?
important to have a father around?
It is, in my opinion. Society would probably disagree with me because it just seems that as men, you can't really do enough in our society. You know what I'm saying? So everything we do is kind of like downplayed and put into a category of where we have to do it or we're doing what we're supposed to do. So we don't actually get any credit for anything we do as men. You know?
Yes, and even though fatherless households are at an increase in the last 10 years, majority of the families are mother and father. Majority of the Americans are mothers and fathers with family structures.
Okay, so I'm looking at some fatherlessness statistics across America. There are approximately 18.3 million children who live without a father in the home, comprising of about 1 in 4 children in the U.S. These are according to father absence statistics. In light of these statistics, it's no surprise that 90% of homeless and runaway children is 63% of teen suicides and 85% of children and teens behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. So there are those statistics.
So,
So,
Self-Made had posed this question, and I think you just answered it with those statistics. It says, "Do you think that creates a mental health issue?"
certainly.
And statistically, that's an emphatic yes. You
So,
know,
or I'm gonna play devil's advocate, or we can say that the small percentage that seeps through the cracks is the dominant. But
is the what?
is the because she was saying 90% here, 80% here, 63% here. I'm saying so those are the larger half of the statistics that she was saying. So in normal conversation, you can say that the norm is basically that. You know what I'm saying? The larger statistic. But I was
Mhm.
gonna play devil's advocate and say that the smaller statistic is what it really is because people have to say that to feel comfortable with the things that are fucked up in our society. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, and I think when people get to talking like that, though, it's really just a way to justify their lack of concern with the circumstances. You know, but I hear what you're saying, though.
I think 1 in 4 is a huge number. We be hard pressed to try to ignore that. And then when you add those numbers from the statistics, is undenying. That's a lot of people. That's a lot
And
of affected people.
and we
Having a
know
mother and a father,
that's a statistic that can only really be applied to the point in which it was made. And what I mean by that is because that's real with all statistics, but I think it's a bigger deal when you start to looking at mother homes with a mother and father in it, because you have to consider the divorce rate and the average length of marriage. You see what I mean? When you start talking about children with a two-parent household, how long of their childhood was it a two-parent household? Was it for 4 years, 8, 16? How long did they really stay together before they were no longer a part of that statistic? You see
I
what
would
I
also
mean?
say the average marriage is less than 10 years.
Let me see something. I'm gonna go ahead and look that up right quick.
Well, I have some statistics of married children and non-married or children that come from single mother families or who don't have either families, and some still go to college, some still graduate, some don't, but a lot of kids that come from single families go to prisons. That is a high rate also, but 33 and 3 in 10 children come from a female household, only female household.
Yeah, I think it's
1 in 3 out of from a married household.
I think it almost goes without saying that people could come from a single parent household and still do well.
Right.
But I think the question is, do children do better typically under a 2-parent household? And the answer to that is going to be yes. Yeah. So
There's always going to be an anomaly.
According to these stats here, it says the average length of marriage in the United States is about 7 to 8 years. Some states have a higher rate than others, but the divorce rate for this country is around 50%. So that's why I said when we're looking at those numbers, how long did that kid have the 2-parent household? And then when the 2-parent household was split, what sort of emotional effect did it have on the child? Do you see what I mean? There's just a lot to be considered when you start talking about the family structure, the 2-parent family structure, and if it can be a lasting one. And that's why I think, having kids is a lot bigger of a decision than society really gives to it. Like, it's not just, oh, we've been laying around and we got tired of using rubbers, and now all of a sudden there's a kid in play.
And now that there's a kid in play, I'm gonna make decisions that a logical person should know would affect this child anyway.
And it also stems of their income, the family income. Also, the family structure is if they're above poverty level or below poverty level, or if both parents work, or if just the father works. Also, that has a lot to do with.
Good point, sis. Good point. I agree.
Because believe it or not, 23% of Black children coming from a 2-parent family end up with their bachelor's degrees or more, or 33% end up with some college, and they say 44%, which is 4 in 10, graduate from college. And then there's the 10% that don't graduate from college. So you just
said the numbers tell the story in my opinion.
But the statistics that I kept looking at, and I wish I could have put them up, everybody's statistics are different because it just depends on the area of where you're talking. Like in Texas, there's the most Black people in population is in Texas, then in Florida, then in Georgia, and so on and so on. But we might have more graduates from New York, or it just all depends on the area that you're getting your stats from.
That's why we said the average in the U.S. Of course, it's going to vary from place to place. That's unavoidable. But the average in the U.S. is still the same. Because it's like, oh, okay, we could say, yeah, in Texas, they doing all right over there with the family, but that's one state out of 52. You know what I mean? So like, how big of a piece does that really play? You see what I mean?
Well, 29% of Americans make $25,000 or less a year. 25% make $49,000 or more a year. 17% make $75,000 a year, and then they say 10% make over $100,000 a year. So it just. Then I read another stat that said that majority of Americans make $44,000 or more a year. So it just
it's the average single person that they're making about $48,000 per year in the United States on average. So I think that's where we have to focus. We have to understand that that's an average, meaning that there's some people making significantly more than that, some people making significantly less than that. But when you group it all together, it comes down to a median average of $48,000 a year. And depending on where you live, that puts you below the poverty line.
Yeah, because it's not even anything in the 40s is not even middle class.
Yeah, and money is a part of managing a family. So that's what I meant when I said, there has to be a bigger importance placed on the decision to have children. It can't just be something that came about because we was laying around. Are we? Who are you to me? Who am I to you? Are we going to embark on a journey of life together? And if so, do we have the means to support children if we decide to bring them into play? Can we take the approach towards family in a manner that shows that we respect one another and we respect the children that may come into play? Or is we just gonna do it and say, hey, let the chips fall where they may, because we ain't really got this shit figured out, but we gonna be all right and we gonna love on each other in the process, Or do we owe it to ourselves to do more than that?
I think that if once you have children, your own personal needs should take the back burner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not saying nobody should be forced to be in an unhappy marriage or unhappy partnership, but your gauge of being unhappy should be gauged after you view what's best for the child. Because you're raising a human being. And if you want that human being to develop properly, to be secure and responsible and things like that, you have to make those type of decisions in front of them for them to soak that type of character in.
Yes, I agree. And every child is different, and every family is different. And what might work for one family might not work for the next family, and what might work for one child might not work for the next child. So,
but if you know that you're gonna, this was my point. Is it gonna be harder for the child if you're on your own and still unhappy, basically, or with somebody that's helping you and you're unhappy? Because either way it goes, you're gonna be unhappy. So, do you want the hard unhappy or the manageable unhappy?
well,
You get what I'm saying?
yes.
That was a good question.
You would want someone in the family. You would want someone helping you take helping you with your children, or with financial, or just with advice. Of course, you want someone there with you.
Right. So his question was, will you want the hard unhappy or do you want the easy unhappy? Because either way, you're going to be unhappy, was what he was saying.
Yeah.
But you're not always unhappy if you don't have a mate.
No, but here was my point. And to some degree you will be, because humans are yearning for that. So just because you don't have a mate, not having a mate, but are you going to be celibate? No, you're going to still have mate shit going on during the process of not having a mate. You get what I'm saying? So of course you can be happy because you got stand-ins, you know what I'm saying, or fillers or whatever, people standing in every once in a while to ease the longing of being alone or whatever and all that stuff. But the point was, like, if you have a husband or I have a wife and we don't get along that good, but I know, damn, if I just stick it out for 18 years, these kids gonna be raised right, and they'll still have this, and we'll be able to have these type of things in place for them, trust funds, whatever, hedge fund, I don't know, whatever, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? We know we can do a good job, even though I might not feel the way I should feel about this person. I'm saying I don't think people should be selfish enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna separate from this kid's mother and then still struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it kind of don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? To affect the child in that way and still not fix the overall, like, how are you helping the child by separating as parents?
You're not really. And I think that's where being able to communicate effectively with your mate comes into play, because what you just said, it should be able to be a realistic conversation. I understand that we don't see eye to eye on various aspects of our lives, and it causes strain. However, we agreed to bring this child into the world, and we agreed to give everything that we can to this child so they can grow up to be a productive member of society and know themselves as an individual. Can we just finish this course and then reevaluate afterward? You know what I mean? But that comes down to whether or not whether or not two people can arrive at that agreement comes down to their ability to communicate effectively and respectably to one another. You know what I mean? So if that ain't in play, they'll never be able to come to the conclusion you're talking about, which really is the better option, in my opinion. You know, that is the better option, because who knows? In the time of sticking out that commitment, you might arrive at a place where you come to respect.
I really love this person. Yeah, I really
Right.
And then that's where your social
I'm
skills
we
come in.
overlooked that bullshit back in when 10 years ago. I'm glad we stepped over that shit.
Right.
But that's where the conflict resolution comes in. On you should be able to address whatever the problem is and still come out being together at the end. And people don't discuss that. When you get with someone in the beginning, you don't talk with that person like, if we had this problem came about, how would you resolve this problem? What would you want to do? That's never goes in play in a scenario of when you get into a relationship with someone. Or if our children, this, you know, that doesn't cross people's minds. You know, that's where people should start having more conversations with one another before getting into a relationship status, I believe, so you can know the person that you're with.
Be intentional.
And be realistic. You know, some of what I mean by that is some of the things that people complain about when they begin to cohabitate with people are like, okay, I don't like that she has her makeup on the counter after she goes to work, or I don't like the fact that he puts his mail on the nightstand.
Right.
Both of those people should shut the hell up, because you have to pick and choose about what is important about being communicated. And
right.
That's not even important. If it bothers you that much, put her makeup away. If it bothers you that much, organize his mail. You know, like, how dare you let this be what we're arguing about? Because that shows a lack of respect for the arrangement. Yeah. When I got an issue, I'm gonna make sure it's about something that is of importance to the success of what we set out to do.
Right.
So you don't have any pet peeves that you have, like, God damn it, I said this shit.
Of course.
Look, of course I do. But as men, we're trained to pretty much shut the hell up about something that's not of real importance. So I think that it's a little bit easier for us to arrive at that place. You know, because we'll get called a bitch and insecure and all kind of stuff if we voice the same things that women are voicing.
Yeah, man, so can't really say
it's not even up for debate. We are better at that than y'all are.
I would disagree.
I want to, but I'm like, we're gonna get off the topic if we go there.
Why though? So simply because we're different genders, you can't put yourself in our shoes.
I think
that's not what she's saying.
To say that men are trained to know that they cannot, it's like, yeah, no.
Okay. Watch, since you want to play games. So, happy wife, happy life. Now, now listen, no. Now say the female equivalent of that.
If the wife is happy, then the man is happy.
Say it. Say the female equivalent of happy wife, happy life. Say it.
Happy house. Listen, happy spouse, happy house.
That's not the equivalent.
Nope.
That's
happy spouse, happy house.
There is
I
no
said what I
equivalent.
said. Happy spouse, happy house. That means that
Okay.
if both
Okay, so
adults are happy,
let me help you understand what he's
There is
saying.
no equivalent.
Let me help you understand what he's saying. The first expression he made is centered on making sure that the wife alone is happy. The expression that you made is centered on making sure that both are happy. So
and that's how you have a productive household.
It is not an equivalent to the statement he made, because an equivalent would be a statement that is centered on the male alone being happy. So you didn't provide a female equivalent of the statement.
There is
And
none.
I'm okay with
There
that.
isn't
I
one.
provided a statement that makes a happy household.
But you missed the point, though.
So the point was,
hold on. Let me address this, because you missed the point. The point we were making was that society has trained men that we have to keep our lips together in order for peace to exist. And the
Time untrue.
No, okay.
That is so
Okay,
untrue.
you
I'm
just
sorry.
proved it to be true because you cannot even formulate the female equivalent of happy wife, happy life. That's how you know it's true, because you've never even heard of the equivalent. I wish we had a cricket sound I could put in right now. Like,
right. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. But the fact that you guys tried to disagree with that shit, yeah,
it's like, come on now. We gotta be realistic.
There goes the stand that a woman 9 times out of 10, she is the one that backs down and says, "Okay, forget it."
She's biting her tongue. She's biting her tongue. She's biting her tongue.
You know what that's called? That's called being submissive. Do you agree that somebody should be submissive? See what I'm saying?
I agree that they should. Oh.
Trigger word.
Okay, biting her tongue on what issue? On whether or not we gonna go to dinner here or there. What is the issue she's biting her tongue on?
Yeah, what have women been closed-mouthed about? I want to know.
All kinds of things. It depends.
So give me a quick example of what you meant when you said that, though. I'm saying.
You like this, Tavon?
No, I don't. I hate it because there was multiple times that you generated that emotion in me, and you can't read my poker face.
Right.
Multiple times throughout this broadcast.
Right.
You know. Okay.
Off while motherfuckers is talking and everything.
Man. So I think what I'm asking is like an example of what you mean. When you because like for instance, we made a point. And then we were able to provide you with an example. So you guys made this firm point. It should be easy to provide an example.
And I did. Happy spouse, happy house.
Bro,
this is
what
sad.
are women closed mouthed?
You don't even know what we talking about no more.
Yeah,
what are
women closed mouthed about?
Really? Now I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, really.
What are women closed-mouthed about?
She can't.
I think that women bite their tongues in households.
When we have said
they bite their house. They bite their mouths about a lot of stuff, like the little things that men do in relationships, like that women for years have been the one to just say, I'm gonna prevent an argument, whether it be spending money, whether it be various different things. And I never lost 1 second of what the topic was, but that's my input on that.
A woman gives in when she.
You didn't give us an example though. You just.
I'm about to give you one.
Broad shotgun statement. What is?
I'm about to give you one. When she has said something repeatedly over and over again, and it's been disregarded and not paid attention to, then she finally says, "Oh, you know what? I'm just not gonna say nothing no more."
Is it about him cutting the grass? Is it about him?
It's about anything. Him shaving and keeping the hair in the sink.
I'm trying to gauge the importance of what it is that.
If you don't like the hair in the sink, clean the shit out the motherfucker.
That's why I need an example, because I'm trying to gauge.
No, that's not how it's always supposed to. Why are we always supposed to be the one that cleans?
Why happy wife, happy life?
Listen to me. Hold on. The reason why I'm asking what exactly it is that she's being quiet about, because that's the only way we can gauge the importance of it.
Something that she has said repeatedly.
What is that something? What is
whatever it might be? if he takes his socks off or his shoes off and leaves them in the middle of the floor every day after work, and she says, "Babe, can you put your shoes up or something or whether?" And then finally she just says, "Forget it. I'm not going to even say nothing no more because it's like beating a dead horse." Or
so you think that's what happy wife, happy life mean?
do I think that's what happy wife have? When if she asks something and then
you're supposed to be giving us the equivalent of that right now.
If she asks you to do something, then you should do it.
We already know that. Happy wife, happy life.
But that's not how it always is.
We already know that shit.
So every time you get told something, you do it.
All you're doing is furthering happy wife, happy life right now. That's all you're doing.
So do you do something? Do you do when you're told to do something, you do it every time?
Don't nobody tell me shit.
Okay, so listen to it like this here. Listen to it like this here. I want you to hear the man side of your argument. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm out of my house by 4:15. I go to work. I don't arrive back home until 5 o'clock in the evening. And I left my socks in the floor when I got in the shower. If the only thing that my woman took notice of is those socks and not the sacrifice that I made throughout the day, she needs to keep her mouth closed. Because her picking up those socks is an opportunity for her to demonstrate her appreciation for the sacrifice he's making for the household.
I agree.
If she fails to see it that way, that's on her.
Now I gotta go there.
That's why I gave the examples I gave earlier. Rather than pissing and moaning about her makeup being all over the sink, clean the shit up. Right. Or rather than pissing and moaning about his envelopes being over here, clean the shit up. Because you claim you love this person and you want to be together forever, but you can't even pick up their damn socks.
Right. Who's the motherfucker?
To me, that's crazy.
Problem? Who's the motherfucker with the real problem? Some women, so I gotta say this. Some women are immaculate house cleaners. Them socks ain't gonna change shit. Because she gonna have her house a certain way, regardless who dropped a pair of fucking socks on the floor.
Okay, well then, say for instance this, the toilet seat.
Who gives a fuck? Lift that motherfucker up when you done.
Hey, listen.
Lift that motherfucker up when you done. Hey, watch this.
No, put it down when you're done.
Put the camera in the bathroom right now. Where you think my toilet seat look like right now?
No, you put it down when you're done.
Motherfuckers up.
Okay, so I want you, aside from just traditionally being taught that the toilet seat should be put down by a man, I want you to give me a logical explanation as to why he should have to lift up the toilet seat while he's dancing in front of the toilet versus you just put it down and sit down. I want you to give me a logical explanation that has nothing to do with what you were taught traditionally, why that should be the way it is.
Why should she be dancing in front of the toilet trying to wait to drop the shit down when she's trying to get her pants down?
Because it's so much easier to go like this than it is to lift a toilet seat up. Just boom.
Right.
No, the reason why you lift the toilet seat up is because 9 times out of 10, all of that doesn't go in the bowl and then it's left on the seat.
No. They said they're going to lift it up. That's what they're saying. The leaving it up is what they're saying. Why should it?
Okay. So do you think it's more likely that a nigga gonna piss on the toilet seat if it's up or if it's down?
If it's down. No, when you're done, put it back down.
You see, the logical answer was your first answer. And then you realize that you just made yourself into a corner.
If you leave that motherfucker up, guess what? That nigga ain't gonna never, ever, ever piss on that motherfucker. Ever.
I guess what I'm saying is, to me,
how you beat that?
To me, I think it's equally as simple as the examples I gave earlier. It's like, because let's face it, you ain't gonna like how it sounds, but the only reason why women complain about the toilet seat being up is because other women have complained about the toilet seat being up, and they inadvertently taught you that that's something you should complain about. You just showed me that you don't have a logical reason for feeling that way. So
you have never went to the bathroom going to the bathroom and go sit down and then have to stop yourself because
right, because
it's not down.
This is my point. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because you proved my point. So your complaint is I should be able to come into the bathroom on Stevie Wonder status and always find an open toilet that's ready for me. We don't have that luxury, so I would like to know logically why you think you should have it and we don't.
Because when you're done with using the bathroom,
just say you don't know. It's better. It's better to just say you don't know.
It's more complicated for men to use the bathroom.
It is.
Than it is for females.
Absolutely.
So how are you going to try to steal the show?
Who's trying to steal the show?
It's more complicated for us to urinate.
Put the motherfucking toilet seat back down when you're done with the motherfuckers. What I'm trying to say.
Oh gosh, the filthy, the vulgarities in the show today. It's just
goddamn right.
Shit, motherfucker.
Try and turn around what I'm saying. I was trying to say that was. He said name a particular situation, and that's the one of the ones.
Okay.
I named it.
Hold on.
And that got shot down like Hiroshima. So what's next?
Responding to me. Let me again reiterate.
And there it is that we have
to. Okay, hold on, time out. Let me reiterate why I was even asking that. Because again, I said I wanted to gauge the level of importance of what your complaint is. And the basis for you justifying your complaint is I didn't want to have to walk in the bathroom and actually look at the toilet before I sat on it. I wanted to just know that it was prepared for my ass cheeks to grace it so I can go piss. That's the basis of your argument.
That's not my argument because I don't think that
it's
not a big deal.
I'm not lumping you into it. I'm talking directly to her.
When you had to aim to take a piss? When the last time you had to really aim at some shit to take a piss?
You've been doing it for however many years. You should be good at it. If I had to squat down and pee in the bowl, I could do it and not have it go everywhere else.
So, but you can't seem to figure out how to put the toilet seat down if you had to.
It's not about figuring out. It's out of respect.
Proving my point.
That's just like if you use the last of the tissue, a man's like, well, I don't use the tissue, so I'm not going to replace the roll.
Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for saying this. But all my relationships since I've been home, the toilet seat been up. I've only had to say it one time, basically, look, it's more of a complicated situation for me. You know what I'm saying?
It's 50-50. And that's why I say, like, to me, I just think that's a very remedial thing to argue about.
It is.
If we're talking about building a solid family structure,
I think that's what we were talking about.
This should not be the thing that poses an obstacle.
Not at all.
I mean, there's no way to justify it.
You said name something that women say, and then finally just say, forget it. I'm just not going to say nothing else about it. And I named that, and it turned into what it turned into.
You wanted to gauge the importance of your complaint.
Right, because you guys said that women have traditionally just have to shut up and be quiet. And what you're missing is there's all kind of shit that y'all do that you never hear about from us because we've already been like, that ain't even worth what's going to come out of that. You just think we don't have a problem with nothing. But no, there's a lot of shit that irritates us. We just chose not to speak on it because we seen that it wasn't important in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so Mike, you don't have anything to say. You don't have any
solely equated to women when you say women choose to be quiet. No, intelligent people do. So you got to give us enough credit to assume that we're doing the same shit. That's all I was saying.
So you don't have a remark for that, Mike? No. Okay.
No.
You should.
I don't.
I want to know why you can't say how I can say happy wife, happy life, which is the example of men shutting the fuck up so their wives can be happy. How come we can't have an example where women are shutting the fuck up so their husbands be happy, to put it bluntly? How come we?
I
don't
think
have
there's
that?
plenty of couples that demonstrate that. I think there's plenty of couples that demonstrate that there has to be a happy medium in the relationship. That's just that for me, it's not black or white.
If we can't agree on a toilet seat being up or down, how are
To
we
me,
trying-
that's minor. I would never. That's not going to be a huge thing in my household when I have
I'm
a household
asking
with
you
three.
what is what do you would keep your mouth shut about? That's what I'm asking you. What's the one thing that you would keep your mouth shut? That's what I'm asking you.
Finances. Finances is going to be a thing. I'm not going to try to control a man's money. I don't need to control his money. As long as he knows what's coming into, what it takes to run a house. I'm not going to complain over a nigga who spends his money on whatever. As long as he's taking care of home, I'm not counting his
Well, let me
money.
ask you a question. You gonna spend your money on what you want to spend your money on?
Of course.
That's
but
why
she
I
said she
damn
wouldn't-
sure are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why
That's
she
what
wouldn't
I'm
be
saying.
tripping with him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that you would never say nothing about what he
If they're taking
any of
care,
his finances.
if they're taking care of the bill portion at home, I can't say what they're going to do with the rest of their money.
Exactly, you shouldn't be able to. Right.
Okay. So what?
That's
Okay.
that's
But again, I'm the single person in the group. So I don't have a weigh in on what goes on in these relationships
That's
right
bullshit.
now.
That's bullshit. Because unless you want to stay single, you should have a mindset. If somebody's unemployed and they know they want to have a job, then they should
Yeah.
be able to explain what it takes to be a good employee, even though they're unemployed at the time.
Right. Okay.
So
Well,
you do have a voice in the conversation.
I mean, I know what it takes. What I want to be the things that I expect, though. So I expect somebody to be able to, have a job, to be able to communicate. It's the basics. So that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna
well,
be.
maybe that's what
you
our
said.
next,
You said what do I have to say about relationships? If I knew I was unemployed and I needed to get a job, I should be able to tell why I'm good for the job. I know why I'm good for the job, and I know what I expect. I want to be the things that I expect from my partner.
so maybe that's what our next show should be about. What makes you a good partner in a relationship?
No.
Oh shit!
Why not? What is the role of the woman? What is the role of the man?
We already know our role is heavier. Our role is 80. A woman's role is 20.
Oh my
That-
God.
I think that depends on the circumstance.
Who's gonna cut the grass?
Well, I'll just put it like this. I've been in situations with more than one woman where because I got a long schedule, because I got a super long schedule and it's probably going to be dark before I get home and I'm not going to have opportunity to cut it before the next day when people are supposed to be there. And I get home that evening and it's dark and she didn't cut the grass.
Right,
So
right.
that's what I mean. Like, and to me, if you're too feminine to help me with something that I can't do because I'm out taking care of the house, ooh.
I would have definitely been able to cut the grass, so I know how to cut the grass.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
To me, like that, you don't understand how far that goes. Like, damn, I was sitting up worried, like I was going to get up the ass crack of dawn and try to cut this grass and do all this and still shower, cut my hair, and then pull up to the house. I'm like, the grass is cut.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, that means a lot.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. I certain things like that. I don't think there are gender roles are just like if you needed one night to be able to cook. I feel like a man should be able to do that too. It shouldn't be the full expectation that a woman's going to cook every single night and all that. So I don't know. I think some things there should not be gender roles associated to them.
I agree with that.
Well, chefs are men most predominantly. So
what did he say?
He said chefs are men predominantly. But who cooks at home?
Okay. No, I think what he's getting at, because I've sat in circles of married women and heard them say, yeah, my man cooks better than me. I look
Yeah.
forward to when he cooks. He doesn't do it as often as I would like, but he's the better chef of the two of us. I think that's all he was getting at.
Okay.
You know?
That's nice.
And it's only one. It's a simple reason why men are better at cooking than women is because men actually are probably more patient in the kitchen than a woman would be.
Ooh, because I think that's one of my biggest things is yeah. I'm not a patient
That's and that's
Yeah.
being realistic. That's not
person.
trying to be chauvinist. That's just saying, women.
I'd agree with that 100%.
Yeah, it's hard for
That's
them.
a good statement.
Yeah, it's hard for them to be patient when they cook and shit.
Well, that's because 9 times out of 10, the woman is doing something else and something else and something else along with cooking. That's why she's trying to get it done and get it out the way.
Hey, look. Instead of plate of burnt chicken in front of a nigga.
Hey,
I have never.
I'm
I've
gonna
never.
tell you why I laughed at that. Why I really laughed at that is because you know how often women say we're great multitaskers, and then the multitask is the reason why she couldn't cook good. Get on with that shit, man.
Who says they don't cook good because they
You
don't?
just said the reason why is because she's doing other things.
Who stopped working on the car while she cooking?
Who's not working on the car while she's cooking?
You working on the car and cooking dinner.
Who is?
You.
No, I don't do the two.
Oh man.
I can work on a car, but I'm not doing the both at the same time.
Mm, mm.
You
I'm
got
giving
jokes,
you a bad- hey,
motherfucker.
look, I'm
Not
giving you
today.
a bad-
I
I'm
got
giving you
one.
a bad-
I slap big head motherfuckers too in the face. That's why I can't stand neither one, all three of you.
Hey, look, I ain't said nothing.
You ain't had to say nothing. Your teeth showing across the screen is saying a whole lot.
Oh my god.
Wow. Okay.
I had to, Sam. I'm sorry. I love you.
Oh,
At least I know how to work on one.
At least you do. That's a beautiful thing.
I know how to work on all kinds of shit.
And you know how to cook, sis. And you know how to cook. So you're great.
oh my goodness.
I'm
Well,
not
it's-
great. I'm just,
it's-
average.
It's
I'm
been,
regular
it's
cracker.
been a rather exciting show to say the least. You
We
know,
didn't have no. Hey, look, we didn't have no viewers this time.
I know.
it's all good because they're gonna
Oh,
catch.
hey,
They gonna
you
catch
have
that
something,
one.
Nate?
Hey, hey, they're gonna. look, where was all this at when we was having the discussion about mental health? We could have related to the people a little bit better if we'd have came out our shell.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem. People don't come out their shells.
They would have understood why we had so much insight on mental health.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because
I
you guys
agree.
are crazy.
Yeah, it's just us. You're the sane one of the bunch.
I am. I would say I'm the sanest.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
nice.
Anyway, the clock is ticking. We about to reach the 2-hour mark.
Go ahead and play
And,
that song, man.
I think we
Say that again, Deez. Tell them to play that song, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Should have put that.
the way we gonna do it though, because people got issues and stuff. You know, turn your damn mic off, and then I'll play the song.
For anybody who watches this, thank you for joining Four Corners Legacy Podcast today. We all have social media outlets. I'm Miss My _916 if you want to find me on IG.
Okay. Yeah. We appreciate y'all for tapping in. Like, share, and subscribe. And see you on the next go round.
Kofi Cooks. repeats itself. Everything in life works in a cycle. That's big facts too.